This video is designed to show anyone with interest in school improvement why using Snapshot and Co-Pilot data are essential to that process. Although there may be disagreement about how well schools are meeting their obligations, there are few people, if any, that believe schools are perfect and don't require improvement. Most all schools have at least some students that are frustrated and failing, and from their perspective, their school needs to improve a lot. So with some cooperation and some resistance, schools, governments, parent organizations, research and training institutions, and other groups and individuals have cobbled together systems and initiatives to support meaningful school improvement. The most prominent element of these systems and initiatives are academic tests. Although often controversial, academic test scores are used to guide policy debate, funding, personnel decisions, curriculum design, and sometimes how a teacher will instruct a particular student. Despite the vast and increasing accumulation of academic test scores, these data are frustrating to use for school improvement because they can only describe the long-term consequence of instruction, what can be thought of as educational output. What academic tests can't do is inform school personnel what actions they can take to improve that output, what can be thought of as educational input. Realizing that little information was getting back to teachers about their instructional practices, easy-to-use and minimally invasive feedback systems were developed. The most common form these systems took were principals auditing each classroom in the school. Over time, other professionals got involved in the observations: mentors, instructional specialists, district personnel, and so on. Unfortunately, the increase in participants didn't necessarily reduce costs or increase how many observers were used for any one particular teacher. These observation schemes started out as screening measures designed only to detect anything done by the teacher or existing in the classroom environment that might harm students. Time produced a shift in focus so that now observation systems include what teachers do to help students learn and develop skills. The problem, however, is that feedback remains too infrequent, making the evaluation of teachers potentially inaccurate and the systems themselves not valid. Even if schools could afford to schedule loads of observations from trained experts and do them without intrusion, some dimensions of teacher practice can only be inferred with observations. Something simple like making expectations for the current activity clear for all students would be difficult to see. Every teacher has the intention of being clear, and most teachers can provide clarity for the adult professional observer. Every teacher can also comply with a checklist and write lesson objectives on the board, but not all teachers are clearly understood by their students, and even the best teachers are misunderstood by a few. The only way a teacher can know that every child clearly understands is to interview every child. What is needed is a feedback system for schools that focuses on what schools do to produce their results. It must still be easy to use and minimally invasive, but it should also be cost-efficient, actionable, and valid. Nothing should replace the assessment of academic outcomes, but without information about the human effort that produced them, no management of those efforts will have a desired effect. Schools must add an input orientation to their school improvement model. This evaluation of input must also employ many observers. Fortunately, schools are loaded with observers, students, teachers, and parents, just to name, well, a lot. And all of these observers are directly invested in the process, making them relatively inexpensive to include. Observations should also be frequent. After all, if a professional at the school alters their practice, they should receive some verification that it was or wasn't noticed as soon as possible. Without timely and specific feedback, teachers, principals, and other school professionals can't learn about their efforts any more than students can about theirs. Finally, the observation should come from continuously informed observers, the right view. Both research and common sense suggest that students provide the best observations on anything the school does to help them learn. They're in the classroom every day. Teachers provide the best observations on anything school management does to help support them as professionals. They come to work every day. And parents provide the best observations on anything the school does to include them in their child's education. They interact with their child every day. So there's the solution. Frequently ask all the students, teachers, and parents about effective school practices that they continually witness. Learning is not nearly as mysterious as some would have us believe. Provide the learner with lots of opportunities to practice clearly understood and appropriate skills or lessons with timely and specific feedback in an environment that is positive and consistent, and the magic happens. Our research over 15 years has isolated 4 conditions that, when present, ensure learning. Students can only proceed when the next step is clear. It is imperative that instruction work to clearly outline the next step. Students can only get to the target step when they are standing on the preceding step, and taking that next step is guided and reinforced. Teachers must evaluate what step each student is standing on and provide lots of opportunities for students to practice taking their next step with specific and timely feedback. Students will only proceed when taking the next step has value. Recognition for meeting expectations works to generate value until success provides its own rewards. Providing abundant, timely, specific, and sincere praise creates value every student recognizes. Finally, students will climb every stair when someone they trust and look up to gives them hope and encouragement. Relationships between the teacher and student that exemplify trust and esteem also help intensify the presence of the other conditions. Together, these are the conditions for learning. Over the past 15 years, data on these conditions and other school attributes and outcomes have been rigorously analyzed. Nearly 3,000 schools have participated in our research, meaning that data from millions of students and their parents, along with nearly 100,000 teachers and other school employees, have been organized and evaluated. Here are a few things we've found. Correlations between these conditions and all school outcomes, including academics, attendance, safety, and school completion, are extremely high. The conditions for learning account for 2/3 of the variance of school academic performance. In fact, these conditions account for more variance in test scores than does wealth, and are better at predicting year-end academic scores than mid-year benchmark scores. Additionally, these conditions apply to all learning and provide a useful model for understanding any human behavior. Whether you are teaching algebra, maintaining order in a third-grade classroom, running a faculty meeting, or dealing with a parent complaint, think of the 4 conditions and you will not only understand what's happening, but might gain insight as to what might be done to fix a problem or repeat an achievement. Finally, understanding the conditions for learning will provide teachers and school administrators with solutions that can be implemented and evaluated immediately. Tetra Analytix has created 2 tools, Snapshot and Co-Pilot, that can frequently ask all students, teachers, and parents about effective school practices that they continually witness. Now the solution has a name. Okay, 2 names, Snapshot and Co-Pilot. Snapshot is organized to evaluate the 4 conditions across an entire school. It collects data from students, teachers, and parents regarding the conditions for learning, teaching, and community support. Co-Pilot is organized to evaluate the conditions for learning in each classroom and provides regular feedback to teachers from the student's point of view. Snapshot is a seasonal inventory and is typically done 1 to 3 times per year. Co-Pilot catalogs countable events and can be done as frequently as weekly. Both systems are web-based and easy to administer, using age-appropriate items in several languages. Snapshot takes less than 5 minutes for students, teachers, and parents to complete. Co-Pilot takes less than a minute to complete, even for students as young as 8. Snapshot covers the conditions for learning academic and social skills, the conditions for instructional support and collaboration, as well as parent involvement and community support. Co-Pilot focuses on students learning academic and social skills. Together, they cover every aspect of school functioning. Consuming data can be tedious and the source of much friction. The professionals at Tetra Analytics have decades of experience in summarizing data and creating a common understanding across stakeholders. And to facilitate the use of the Snapshot and Co-Pilot data, our systems provide immediate access to easy-to-understand reports, less tedium, reduced friction. Both Snapshot and Co-Pilot reports are presented online. The reports are available anywhere the internet is. Once the data collection process is complete, the reports become available immediately. No need to wait. The Snapshot and Co-Pilot reports provide colorful summaries of the data with instructions for interpretation and use. And the online reports are dynamic. Data can be aggregated and disaggregated at the click of your mouse. Start using Snapshot and Co-Pilot today. Please give us a call.